Hello, Honkers fans. Welcome to Meet the Honkers, episode 11. I am Justin Velazquez, and I am very happy to welcome Noah Rooney onto the show. What's going on, Noah?
Hey, how are you doing? Glad to be a part of the show. I'm excited to talk with you.
I'm doing well. Are you from Minnesota? You're already rocking the Minnesota shirt there. You're ready to go. So that's pretty cool. Let's get right into it. So you were a three-sport athlete at Perham High School in Minnesota. So I just want to ask you, how did sports, not just baseball, become such a big part of your life?
I think for me, just kind of growing up, my parents both played three sports throughout high school, and kind of just I've always been a kid that's loved to play multiple sports. So I think just having them kind of as an influence, getting me kind of involved with youth sports really kind of brought that out. And just with school, something they always talked about was as long as I was a part of a school, I should be part of a sports program as well. So that kind of led to me being able to play three sports in high school, which I thought was a really awesome experience.
So they kind of instilled it in you, right? It wasn't something that you kind of saw them do and were like, or saw them play or watch sports and eventually gravitated to that. They kind of made sure that, okay, like Noah, all right, you're going to play sports.
Yeah. And just, I think they kind of taught me there's a variety of lessons kind of that you can learn through sports to kind of bring into your daily life. Whether it be just working hard, being able to have good relationships with the people around you. I think all those things are things you learn throughout your career in sports, and something that I've kind of been able to put into my daily life as well.
How have you incorporated that into your daily life?
For me, I just think so much of sports is being able to communicate with your teammates and coaches, whether it be on or off the field. So just being able to put that into my daily life, really having great relationships, whether it be with my parents, siblings, other people in my community. And then along with that, just working hard. I've kind of found that throughout athletics, it's not only important to do well both on the field, but off the field, take care of business in the classroom. And that's something that sports has kind of taught me along the road.
Yeah, taking care of business in the classroom. In high school, your GPA was what, 3.99? You're academic AllState. Like, I mean, how you were really successful in school. How was that like?
Yeah, so that's something kind of that my parents instilled in me as well as a young age. Just being able to do really well in the classroom, taking your time to do your best work. And I think that's really helped me. It's kept me accountable in a variety of ways and just allowed me to really put my best work out there, not only on the field and especially on the baseball diamond, but in the classroom as well.
Yeah, you mentioned taking your time to do your best work. How do you incorporate that into pitching?
Well, I think pitching, it's something that I've kind of worked on for a long time, and I think it pretty much comes down to your daily process. I'm a really routine oriented person, so kind of just finding drills that I felt fit my needs is something that I kind of try to incorporate on a day-to-day basis. I've been fortunate to work with Ty McDevitt here at the University of Minnesota, and he's played a big influence on my career thus far. And then really just listening to older teammates. There's a redshirt junior pitcher here named Aiden Maldonado, and he's been one of the guys that's kind of just took me under his wing and taught me about daily processes, really working hard on throwing programs and things like that to reach your potential. So I'm very thankful for people like that who have kind of helped me in my pitching career thus far.
You mentioned relationships earlier. You are the oldest of 5 siblings. You have a younger brother and 3 younger sisters. What was that like growing up?
Well, it was a lot of fun. A lot of kind of busyness in the house, but I definitely enjoyed it. And I think what comes with younger siblings is just trying to be a role model to them. I think both in the classroom and athletically, I've done that. And I'm hoping that throughout that, they'll be able to follow my journey and do the same things that I have done thus far.
How cool was it for you? Because are they very into sports as well?
Yeah. So my sister, she's a two-sport athlete. She does volleyball and gymnastics. And then my younger brother is a three-sport athlete as well, football, baseball, and basketball. So just being able to grow up and in the last few years, watching them get after it on and off the field or court or anything like that, it's been really cool. And honestly, I probably get more nervous watching them than I do for my own self, but it's a good feeling.
How cool is that though? Because you're focusing on your pitching, right? And we'll get into your prep career in a little bit, but you're focusing on that, but also your brother is doing this and you're going to that, your sister's doing that. So how cool is that to be very involved in sports yourself, but also watch your siblings do their thing?
Yeah, I've been very fortunate to kind of have those experiences throughout my life. I think my parents kind of did the same thing with me as they have done with them, kind of teaching them that sports is a great way to teach you life lessons. And they've been fortunate enough to have those experiences as well. And I guess just having the opportunity, like I said, my brother is a baseball player, to, like, for example, when I went home this winter, to be able to train with him is something that's pretty cool. And just kind of take what I've learned so far and push it on to him, which is really cool.
Do you guys and girls give each other feedback as well? Like if you are watching your brother or your sister, are you telling them like what they could be better at or encouraging them and vice versa?
Yeah, I'd say so, especially with my brother. Really kind of with my sister, she's done gymnastics and volleyball, which I don't really have too much experience on. So it's just kind of cool watching her go through those things. But with my brother and him playing both baseball and football, I've been able to give him some pointers when it comes to things like that. And really, he's taught me a lot, kind of just going through kind of what he's learned and kind of bringing that knowledge of things like that. It's really cool to see him kind of growing up and taking advantage of his career.
So playing three sports in high school, right? Baseball, football, and you're a wrestler. What was your favorite sport though?
I'd say baseball has always been my favorite sport. But the cool thing about football and wrestling is I think those are two sports where you really learn a lot of life lessons, especially in wrestling. When it comes down to it, it's kind of a one-on-one sport, and it's all about kind of determination, grit, and hard work. And I think that's really taught me to kind of just continue on a day-to-day basis to work to get 1% better on the baseball field. So I'm very fortunate to have those experiences. And then with with wrestling and football, I've had tons of great coaches, assistant coaches, and things like that. So to have those people to be able to support me throughout this journey is awesome. And I'm very thankful for those relationships.
So in high school, you made the state wrestling tournament twice, right? So how did you get into wrestling?
So my grandpa and a few of my uncles actually were in wrestling. And that's something I probably started when I was in fifth grade, or when I was probably 5 years old. I did wrestling, basketball, pretty much anything involving sports. And I ended up being pretty good at wrestling because I kind of just stuck with it. And then speaking about like the wrestling state tournaments, I was very fortunate to be able to qualify for those, both as a team 2 years in a row, which was really cool. I learned a lot, just like I said, from older people, kind of just those guys taking me under their wing, talking through their experiences and kind of discussing what they've done in their journey. So it's been really cool, and I'm really fortunate to have those experiences in my life.
You're a really good receiver on the gridiron too. All district honorable mention. You were a captain your senior year. You're Minnesota, right? So were you Justin Jefferson before Justin Jefferson? Pretty much. Describe your game to me.
Yeah, so I was a little bit of a slot receiver. I wouldn't say I was as good as Justin Jefferson. He's a pretty dang good wide receiver, but I was pretty much a guy who would kind of get the ball in the middle of the field and could do a lot with it. So wide receiver is actually a lot of fun. And then on the defensive side, I played cornerback. So football is an awesome sport. To be able to play under those Friday night lights is an experience unlike any other that I've had. So it was really cool. And then in football, we had the opportunity to play in state twice, which was some really cool experiences as well.
What were some of your favorite moments playing football in high school?
So my junior year, we were playing in the Fargo Dome for the section championship to make it to state, and I caught a touchdown with 5 seconds left to tie the game, and then as the holder for the field goal that won the game on the extra point. So that was probably my favorite experience. Just to be able to play in a moment like that and to make the big play was something I was very fortunate to do, and something that I got a lot of support from the community for. So it was really cool.
Yeah, that's a game-winning touchdown or game-tying touchdown, and then game-winning extra point, and you're on the field for both of them. So
Yeah.
I mean that's incredible. And now baseball. So you only played 2 years in high school in baseball. We'll get into that a little bit later. But your sophomore season was just incredible. We were talking about it before we started recording. But let me read this off: 48 innings pitched, 94 strikeouts. That is a 17 and a half strikeout per nine. Like that's like Josh Hader has a strikeout per nine like that, right? And then 1.31 ERA. How special of a season was that for you?
I think that was a really cool kind of experience for me. 10th grade, it's a little bit different playing against a little older competition. I was fortunate enough to play varsity my 9th grade year as well, but I think in 10th grade, that's kind of when everything clicked for me, especially on the mound. I was fortunate enough to work at Starters sports training in Shakopee, Minnesota over the winter. And I learned a lot from those guys. So pretty much going into that year, I was just hoping to make another state appearance with my team. And I was able to do that and really put up some good numbers on the mound. So that was a really, really awesome time.
What specifically did you learn from them?
I just think the biggest thing I learned was just a new grip on my curveball. Before that, I was pretty much a fastball changeup guy my freshman year. So that curveball was really a game changer. It's a little bit of a slurve, but I think it just allowed me to throw another pitch for strikes, and that really made hitters have to work for 3 pitches, which definitely gave me an advantage.
So take me behind the process of switching your grip on a pitch, right? How do you, come up with a new grip and then teach yourself to throw this pitch a different way?
So kind of going into that process, I just learned a pretty simple curveball grip from my dad growing up. So it was a little bit of something that I kind of just brought up with them one of my first days training at their facility. And we kind of just worked on finding a new grip, used a lot of Rapsodo data when I was throwing off the mound to kind of find a grip that really would work effectively with my fastball. And with that, I mean, it just took a few bullpens really to figure out release points and things like that. But it ended up really helping in the long run and something that really gave me the ability to get a lot of strikeouts.
Yeah, and the information you're using, you're looking at, right, like consistent release point, right? Spin rates, fastball, I'm a Mets fan. So Jacob deGrom, for the longest time, we talked about like perceived velocity, right? He throws 99, but it looks 102 because he's releasing the ball so close to the plate. Is that also what you're looking at?
Yeah, a little bit. Kind of for me, I'm a little bit of a shorter pitcher, so I think perceived velocity is a little bit something that's not really for me as I'm a little bit shorter. But I think for me, like spin rate, like you said, is a pretty big part of the game today, and kind of just working to improve those kind of over the offseason with both my fastball, curveball, and changeup has really been a game changer and has allowed me to take my game to the next level.
So unfortunately, you missed your junior and senior seasons, right? Junior year was COVID, so that was cut short. And then you got injured playing football your senior year, so you missed the baseball season. So 2 years just wiped away. How did you still manage to improve your game despite not being able to take the field?
Yeah, so those 2 years were pretty unfortunate events. Of course, COVID, that's something that kind of affected everyone in Minnesota when it came to baseball. And then, of course, my knee injury in the fall of my senior year. But I think with that, kind of just with the support of the community, they helped keep me in kind of a good stage in my life to continue just improving. Even when I wasn't able to throw, just watching video, watching other guys in the big leagues kind of throw definitely helped me kind of just to learn sequencing and things like that. And I had the opportunity to work with some pretty cool physical therapists who allowed me to get healthy and get off the mound again, which is pretty cool. So I think with that, I learned a lot of life lessons to really give everything you got in every opportunity you get. And that's kind of something that's just stuck with me and helped me improve my game.
Yeah, I saw a package Alex Zappa did of Bally Sports North. I think a part of that was the day after you got hurt, there are people knocking on your front door, right? To kind of, wish you well and that you'll be okay. How important was that for you?
That was very important and it meant the world to me. I think it's so cool when people from your community really just reach out and help for you in a time of need. That was a big struggle for me. I've never really been hurt for pretty much my whole career. And that was a pretty severe injury. So kind of just having people wish their support and know that they have your back for everything that comes down the road is pretty special. And like I said, in my community of Purim, it's a pretty small community, so everyone's pretty tight knit. And to have everyone's kind of supporting the community and pushing me to get to my end goal of being able to play on the baseball field again is really cool. So I'm so thankful for those relationships and kind of the Purim community in general.
You mentioned you watched a lot of video of big league pitchers. Who specifically did you watch?
So some of my favorite pitchers, like Clayton Kershaw, he's a great example. And then pretty much just a lot of Twins pitchers, like our new rookie, Joe Ryan. I think those guys, they've kind of throw like me. I'm someone who really likes to throw a lot of fastballs, and Joe Ryan's kind of a great example of that. So just kind of watching those guys, watching how they kind of go through like a start day, their routines is pretty cool. And just to know that they've reached the highest level in the game, something that I really hope to do in my career, and just taking advantage of every opportunity that I get.
You mentioned seeing how they sequence pitches. So when you're watching, are you jotting down notes on like a notebook, like, hey, like, or are you really kind of observing and thinking about how you would approach the same way or could add that to your arsenal?
I'd say observation is probably the way I use things. I think just being able to watch a baseball game, just not only from a fan perspective, but as a player perspective is really important, especially at like the college or the pro level. So just kind of putting yourself in their shoes, thinking, what would I do in this scenario? What pitch would I throw into what location? Really has helped me take my game to the next level, not only on the field, but also mentally. And I think the mental part of baseball is super important. Just knowing that baseball will always humble you, even when you're at the highest of highs. So being able to really be able to take that deep breath and kind of refocus is a really important part of the game, and something I kind of work on and watch as I'm kind of watching those MLB pitchers.
Yeah, going back to that package I mentioned, you had a really cool quote after, on your adversity. You said, you just need to be humble and kind. You need to see that life is full of failures and see that it's not the way you fall down, but how you get back up. We mentioned how baseball is always, a game of failure. The best, you hit 300, good batting average, you're failing 7 out of 10 times. So you mentioned sports before, how those taught you life lessons. How did playing all those sports result in having that mindset?
Well, I think with all sports, there's a lot of failure. I never had the opportunity to win a state championship. I made a state tournament 7 times and, failed in winning that state championship each time. But I think with failure comes new opportunity and a new perspective in things. Just being able to really get up when you're kind of falling down and to create that new perspective to improve, like I said, 1% daily in kind of all aspects of life is really important. And I think high school sports do a great job of that.
What would you say you learned the most about yourself in your time in high school?
I think it was when I was going through my knee injury, and just perseverance is a big word for me. Being able to really push yourself no matter what obstacle life throws at you, whether it be on the baseball field, giving up a few runs in a start, and really having to take the time to slow down and kind of make adjustments for the next game. I think baseball can really snowball, have a downward snowball effect if you aren't able to kind of take that deep breath. So I think the most important part that I learned is really just persevere through anything life throws at you, and there'll be better things on the other side.
So you have your highs, right? Your freshman and sophomore year, then your lows with the injuries and COVID, missing 2 years of baseball, but back to the highs. You know, Minnesota kid, you attend the University of Minnesota. Take me to that day you committed or knew you were going to go there. What did that feel like?
So I committed at the beginning of my senior year, in September, which was actually probably a month before my injury. But being a Minnesota kid, I think I was very fortunate enough to have the opportunity to play here at the University of Minnesota. Being an in-state kid, Minnesota meant the world to me. Coach Anderson, he is one of the best coaches in college baseball history. So to be able to learn from him and other assistants, Ty McDevitt, Pat Casey, Trey Vavra, all those guys have really meant the world to me. It taught me a lot so far and just helped really my experience here so far in my freshman year.
So you're in your freshman year, like you mentioned. What was your first, okay, I'm playing collegiate baseball now moment?
I'd say my first appearance at Florida Atlantic University. I think it was our either second or third game out of the year, and I got the call out of the bullpen in the sixth inning, I believe. But just kind of running out of the bullpen and onto the field, it was really like, holy cow, I finally made it. Putting on that University of Minnesota jersey for the first time was a surreal moment and something kind of I'll treasure forever. But kind of just having a hitter get in the box, that first pitch was nerve-wracking, but at the same time super exciting. It was the first time I'd thrown in game since my injury. So to be able to say I finally made it, and I persevered through that injury, in which there was a lot of doubt that kind of crept into my mind during those 11 months of rehab. But just that first hitter was probably the first experience that I was like, holy cow, I'm playing college baseball at the University of Minnesota.
How long was the gap between your last pitch as a sophomore or a junior? Was your season canceled your junior year, or did you still were able to make a start or two?
So my junior year, the spring season for Minnesota was canceled. So then I had the opportunity to play on a summer team for the starters, the Minnesota starters, where I trained my sophomore winter. And I probably played 6 tournaments with them over the summer. Really cool experience. So I believe I threw my last pitch probably July 25th, 2019.
2020.
2020. So I threw my last pitch. Actually, my last start that year was the first time I hit 90 miles per hour.
Oh, okay.
My last start. And then I kind of went through, I got injured on October 17th, 2020, kind of worked my way through rehab, got cleared January of 2022. Made a few appearances in like inter squads during winter practice here at the University of Minnesota, and that all led to the moment I pitched in my first game in February. So all in all, it was about like a year and a half between pitches, which was pretty cool. A lot of doubt kind of crept in my mind. Oh, will I be as good as I once was, and things like that. But I just trusted that all the hard work, all the physical therapists and doctors who were telling me things, just kind of trusting their word. And I knew they'd lead me to success.
You being a freshman, there's an adjustment period there, right? Going from high school to college. So where do you feel like you're at right now as a pitcher?
So right now I feel like I've adjusted pretty well. Like I said, I think having older teammates such as Aiden Maldonado, having those guys be in your corner and just teaching you how to kind of translate your game from the high school to the college level. For me, I think the biggest two things I've realized is the importance of not walking hitters. Pretty much in college, every guy you walk is going to end up somehow scoring. So trying to limit walks and then just being able to make competitive pitches. I think pitches left down the middle are going to get hit. Unlike in high school, you maybe be able to get away with some of those if you're throwing at a higher velocity. But I mean, in college, every hitter was the best hitter at their high school. So kind of just keeping that in perspective and kind of working to really make competitive pitches each time is kind of the two focal points that I've focused on so far this season.
What are your goals the rest of this season at Minnesota and this summer with the Honkers?
So my goals right now is to make the Big Ten tournament here at the University of Minnesota. That'd be my main goal. And then this summer would probably be win a Northwoods championship. I'm a big competitor and I love to win, and having the opportunity to kind of play in a Big Ten championship and win a Northwoods championship are two really cool experiences that I hope to achieve in the future.
Do you set personal goals for yourself? Like, how do you, like, from now to at the end of the Honker season, what do you want to improve at as a pitcher, you know?
Yeah, so I think for me, kind of the adjustments I'd like to make is currently I'm working on a slider, kind of something that I've kind of put a focal point on wanting to add to my repertoire. So kind of just working on that throughout bullpens and really making that a pitch I can use in game. And then hopefully just throwing a little bit harder. I think velocity is a really important part of our game today. So currently I'm sitting about 87, 89. So hopefully being able to sit around 90, 91 this summer would be something pretty cool and something that I feel like I could get a lot of success from.
I really appreciate the time, man. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to play this summer and look forward to seeing all the fans out there this summer.
Yeah, that is Noah Rooney entering his first summer as a Rochester Honker. Thank you, Honkers fans, for tuning in to another episode of Meet the Honkers. You can catch every single one every Friday at noon Central right here on the Rochester Honkers YouTube channel. And I will see you for the next one.